Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, Alan Mulally, which is the head of the Ford Motor Company, the CEO of Ford Motor Company. An interesting situation. There was a lot of rumors coming around the Detroit Motor Show that Mr. Mulally would be leaving in the year of 2014, possibly for a very high-paying job at Microsoft. Well, that deal kind of fell through, apparently, maybe. But now Mr. Mulally said, yes, I will be leaving in the year of 2014 to try to settle down some of the rumors about what was going on inside of the company. And then very, very abruptly in the past couple of days, it actually came out that Mr. Mullally's last day will be July 1st, when the regime change will happen. Now, Mr. Mulally has been well loved inside the Ford Motor Company, especially for the sheer fact that this guy really dots all the I's and crosses all the T's, especially when it comes with folks. Folks just absolutely adore this fellow. He actually making personal phone calls to folks on their anniversary of their employment, even down to some of the folks that actually in wash bays and whatnot from some of the dealerships that have been there for quite some time, which are tickled pink when you get a CEO of a company actually going to that length. Now, Mr. Mulally, very, very well loved. Mulally actually coming in from the aircraft industry and did an amazing job for being somewhat of an outsider in the automobile world. Now, the replacement, and that's kind of interesting, this kind of all come at once. A lot of rumors floating around that the replacement waiting in the wings. They didn't want to lose him, saying, well, you may have to wait a little while longer for Mr. Mulally to leave. A lot of rumors continue to float around that this abrupt announcement means that Mr. Mulally may have secured employment someplace else, but Mr. Mullally's replacement is Mark Fields. Now, Mark Fields has been with the Ford Motor Company for several years and has actually been well groomed in the situation where he was going to be the next CEO. Perfect situation, too. Mark Fields, a hell of a guy, big car guy, and is a perfect situation. I think the absolute perfect replacement for Alan Mulally, even though there may not be a quote-unquote replacement for him, but I think Mark Fields will do the job, and do the job just right. It's been left in good hands from the last regime. It'll be very exciting to see what Mr. Fields has in the future for the Ford Motor Company. Next up on the list, well, if you've been poking around the old interwebs over the past several days, chances are you've seen this particular photograph. An actual sad incident that involved one of the first editions of the F40. Now, if you don't know what the Ferrari F40 was, it was actually built as a little bit of a tip of the hat for the 40th anniversary of the birth of the Ferrari Motor Company. Now, one of the other things, if my memory serves me right, I think it was a little bit too where Enzo Ferrari wanted to stick it a little bit to Porsche, who just built that world-conquering 959 at the time. That may be totally wrong in that particular situation, but sadly, this vehicle may have met its demise. Was actually going through an intersection in Toronto, Canada, when a Dodge Dart, and seen in the picture here, actually ran the red light and clobbered into it. And looks like the Ferrari definitely took the bigger part of the hit. Now, the actual Dodge Dart actually ran a red light, so it's 100% the Dart's owner's fault. But now it's come out that the Ferrari in this situation was not driven by its owner. Sadly enough, it was driven by a mechanic who was doing some work to the automobile and had taken the vehicle out to check on some of the systems that he had been working on. And sadly, boy, would you like to make that particular phone call? Yeah, remember you brought your Ferrari down here for us to work on? Yeah, you might not want to come look at it. Not anytime soon. Now, in theory, hopefully the Dart's insurance could actually, well, hopefully he can afford to actually fix this particular automobile, being a very, very rare specimen of Ferrari as is. So we'll wait and see what comes of this in the future. But terrible, terrible situation. I wasn't even going to talk about it until I heard the mechanic was driving. That was a terrible situation. I'd have hated to have been that mechanic. Boy, couldn't imagine making that phone call back to the dealership and then that service manager or service writer actually having to make the phone call to the customer. Wouldn't want to be involved in that situation. Well, the long-rumored Ferrari LaFerrari XX has been rumored floating about all over the place, and the sucker's been pounding around the Nordschleife Nürburgring circuit for several weeks. Over the past couple of weeks, it is. now some rumors are floating about that this vehicle's power plant may be in question. Several months ago, there was one ripping around the Fiorano test track, and a lot of folks pointed towards it. It was before the LaFerrari actually made its official debut, and the sound of the vehicle was very, very different. A lot of folks were pointing towards that it was a version that was built specially for the turbocharged V6 that was in the modern-day Formula One car for the new regulations for the 2014 F1 season. Now, maybe that possibly wasn't the situation, and I'll put that video up on the Facebook page if you want to make your own conclusion, because now there's rumors floating about that the V12 power plant that's in the road-going version of the LaFerrari will not be going in the XX, that it will get a somewhat derived turbocharged V6 from the Formula One car. This ought to be very, very interesting. The Ferrari folks actually claiming that maybe this could be just due to weight specifications. They really wanted to lose a lot of weight. Boy, if you lose half the cylinders, that's going to lose a significant amount of weight from the automobile. Not to mention that Formula One derived engine supposedly was making 750 brake horsepower on its own, so it would have been well up for the challenge of making a very quick race car. No real word on this official or not. No real word on whether that V6 is going to be actually teamed up with the KERS system, the kinetic energy recovery system that's in the Grand Prix car, which has several powerful electric motors to bump up the power to somewhere around 1,000 brake horsepower. So more rumors continue to float out about the LaFerrari XX. It's a very exciting time, the full-blown hardcore version from Ferrari. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to that Facebook page and check out that Ferrari video, I'll put the link down in the show notes. You can also like us over there. We'd appreciate that. Also, you can subscribe to the channel. You can do so at any time. Get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.